Well, we were booked to play with him by Al Aronowitz was the guy's name. He was a promoter in New York City at the Felt Forum, which is Madison Square Gardens, but the smaller venue was, And it was us and Merle Haggard, 1976, I think. And I'm thrilled. He's got the greatest band. Johnny, I knew all the guys who really were, the Eldon Shamblin, the old Bob Wills guys. They said, "Hey, you want to smoke a joint, Merle?" I said, "Yeah." So we had a van. We went in the back and smoked a joint. And we were all supposed to do a sound check, and we went out and just jammed. And it was just heaven on earth, man. Because it was Tiny Moore, Eldon Shamblin, the legend, Merle, Ronnie Reno, and Leona, and the Great Stranger band, Roy Nichols, etc. And we just jammed. We were all stoned out of our gourds, jammed, and it was just phenomenal. And we became good friends. Merle was a very good friend of mine. He was an intelligent iconoclast and just amazing.
What are some things that people might not know about Merle?
A whole lot of things. He lived life to the fullest. He was difficult at times, but certainly the most creative human being I ever met. He was obviously a great songwriter, obviously a great singer, but he was also a fiddler. I mean, he took the time to learn how to fiddle. Now, I mean, he wasn't virtuoso, but he played fiddle. He played guitar. When we did the Last of the Breed tour, this was when we backed up Merle, Willie, and Ray Price. He was just amazing, He always liked to challenge you, too, so he'd play a lot of guitar solos, and I'd just be sitting there going, "I don't care, go right ahead, Hag, play all you want." But for a guy who was a voice of not a generation, a voice of something, and I mean, such a voice of the working people, the common man, whatever you want to talk about, he certainly was. Let me put it this way. When Merle Haggard had Okie from Muskogee and Fighting Sodomy, #1 records, huge, made him the superstar he is. The next thing he did, a tribute to Bob Wills record, a tribute to Jimmy Rogers record, a tribute to the New Orleans sound. I mean, what a dedication to the history of country music. I mean, without Merle Haggard doing that Bob Wills album, I don't reckon me and George Strait would be as knowledgeable of Wills music as I know we wouldn't have been. And now, Sleep at the Wheel, we collected the 78s, I still do. But George, would have been, without having that, would have probably just been another mainstream country artist. Instead, he is one who has, really brought the traditional country music, especially Western swing, at least to the forefront.
In your book, you told a story about seeing his tour bus over at the Shoney's by Music Row. People might not remember, but that's where a lot of the tour buses would gather and people would go there to get on the bus to go on tour. Could you tell that story?
Yeah, he pulls in. I go, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "Come on, we're going over to CBS Records and kick some ass." Now, he didn't know I had just re-signed with CBS Records with Rick Blackburn. And Larry Hamby went, "Oh, okay, come on." We go over there. I don't realize, whatever, Hag, let's go. We go over there, and it's Rick Blackburn, Larry Hamby. He was head of A&R, and Rick Blackburn was head of the label. Rick was the one who dropped Johnny Cash. What else did he turned Columbia B, that legendary recording studio, into the art department. So anyway, they're sitting there and they're arguing, and all of a sudden, and Hag goes, "How come you're not giving me the money I asked for you?" He said, "Well, because Pancho and Lefty had been a big hit that Willie and Merle hit, and he had turned in Kern River, the great record he did about Bakersfield, and it didn't sell as well." And Blackburn says, "Well, your last record didn't sell." He said, and Hag goes, "It didn't sell because you didn't promote it." Blackburn goes, "We didn't promote it because it sucked." I'm sitting here going, holy mackerel, what's going to happen now? Hag stands up and goes, "Who the fuck are you to, he goes on, and then he stands up and he says, and Blackburn had spina bifida. And Hag goes, I'll kick your crippled ass with one arm tied behind my back. Me and Larry Hammond had our looking at each other going, are they going to start wrestling around on the floor? Are we going to have to break them up? Oh my God. And then the tension, And that was one of the great moments in country music. And I'm proud to have been there. He never got he was asking for $500,000 and they weren't giving it to him.
To say there's no good songs on that Kern River record.
Yeah. Hag was absolutely right. It was funny. He gave me my comeback because we had been out of it. In '86, I'm doing these demos on this 8-track analog studio that me and a friend had, and all of a sudden I get a record deal back, and I'm going, all right, But that was a time. CBS Records had cratered '84 and '85. And so Blackburn's going, what can I do? Willie had left because he wouldn't deal with Blackburn. He said, screw you, I'm going to New York. And he was big enough for the thing. But then again, that was the year, '86. Katie Lang, Lyle Lovett, Steve Earle that's when he put out Guitar Town. The O'Kanes, Dwight Yoakam, yeah. And this was the resurgence of country music. This was the savior of country music those few years. And then Garth came. And we all, Garth opened for us a lot. And then we opened for him and it's a shame because Garth's first album was great country music. Too old to feel this, too young to feel this old, damn old, whatever. But again, that was the ramp, I call it, that transitioned, old country with new country, and then. No, we were amazed. We started having, not big hit records, but top 20 and 30, on the charts. And then I found out how corrupt the charting thing was. We had Boogie. We had Boogie Back to Texas, and it was climbing the charts and everything. And they had those things where you had to keep your bullet, And there was this band called the Shooters. Who the hell are they? And we thought we had everything, and the head of whatever promotion had sacrificed our record so that the Shooters could move up, whoever the hell they were, and that's how that worked. And so we couldn't, and then they dropped us, even though we were profitable. It was funny, CBS, we had recouped our advance, we were they dropped us, mostly, which was fine because then we went to another label. But yeah, it was definitely a moment in time when country music was changed forever, and Steve Earle brought the twang back to country music for sure, and that record to me is one of the most important records ever made. And people think about the O'Kanes. What a fabulous band that was. You remember the O'Kanes, Jamie? That record was incredible. Roseanne Cash and et cetera, Rodney Crowell. Think of Nancy Griffith, yeah. Floyd Domino was my piano player for many years, and then he went to New York and did the Best Little Whorehouse, and then he went with Waylon for 5 years, and then he came back to Austin. And Hag was doing something over at the Riverbend Center, and he said, hey, I need a piano player. You think Floyd would do it? I said, oh, absolutely. Man, you just need to ask him. So he did, and I filmed him and got a great story. He told about Bob Wills. I was I can't remember why I was doing it, but anyway, glad I did. And that was it. And, that was the last time I saw him, but I always kept in touch. Oh no, oh yeah, he came through Nashville. They had a tattoo biker kind of big festival that bombed. The guy ran out of money, and it was us and Hag. That was right, and it was here. It was horrible, but we played, and I sat on a bus with him and Teresa, and had a wonderful talk. We always did, because as different as we were, our lives were so intertwined. It was really, really interesting.
Did you ever get to play Lefty's guitar?
Yep, on his bus, yeah.
What's your memories of that?
Just, wow. Whoa. Yeah, he said, yeah, I bought it at $150,000. Yeah. It was just, because, yeah. The whole Lefty thing, I was supposed to go see him when we were out in California. He played at Cowtown. Leroy went and somebody else. I couldn't go for some reason. Leroy came back. He says, B-72 probably. And I said, how was he? He said, oh, he was drunk. He said, it was kind of depressing, I said, I'm glad I didn't go. But the whole, the thing about Lefty, it's funny. Gimbel told me the story. So like 1951 is there 52, I think is when, I was born in 51, but I guess that's when it is. And he recorded it all in Dallas at that famous studio, Jim, I can't remember his name. But he did all Lefty and a bunch of other records and then died suddenly. They all said that Dallas could have been Nashville, but I said not really, because it was the Opry that brought the had a promotion. We didn't have a radio station, although maybe we did. Anyway, so the Gimbel told me a story about Lefty's having all these hits, Always Late, etc. I'm not sure what year was it, but it was early 50s. It must have been, because Gimbel was still with Wills, and they said, Bob. They were at a cafe. He said, there's a jukebox. He said, Bob, there's a record of that guy. They've all been requesting the song that you don't know. He said, well, play it for me. Play it. Now, this time, it's 1950-something. Bob always thought of himself as a big band leader. You have as many pieces as you can. 2 fiddles, a horn, piano, bass, drums. So, as much as you can afford, you got. And he plays the record, and it's, it's guitar, steel, bass. That's about it, maybe drums, I don't know. And he plays for him. Bob goes, they want that? And Gimbel told me something that is so true and so important. He says, Ray, generations start out liking stuff that's really raw, and then it goes along, and at the end of 10 years, it gets really polished, and they don't like that, and then the younger generation comes up and likes the raw stuff. I said, absolutely, Johnny. Look, you can see it. It's happening today, and it was quite a lesson. But Bob didn't quite understand. He couldn't. They want that. That's a hillbilly singer singing, And that was the thing, is that he had gotten very slick and wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the last Western swing stuff was really the Sacramento band in the early 50s. But it was swing music. It wasn't raw enough.
Yeah, that's quite the observation. I think that's really true.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look at the Rolling Stones. Look at the kids today. Look at punk music. Look at yeah.